The House is Digital podcast is where Australia's tech future takes shape. Welcome to the front line of Australia's digital revolution. Today, we're talking with Scott King. He's the founder of Zapme, a global communications platform building borderless phone numbers, eSIM connectivity, decentralised social layers, and payments into a single ecosystem. Scott.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Welcome. Good to be here.
I selfishly have you on the podcast because you're the most innovative telco that I've ever seen across multiple different layers. So we are talking about a global Australian founded telco, and you can talk about why that's innovative shortly.
Yeah.
And also the way that you have disrupted the social media platform idea and what you're building there. So I want to start with Zapme and why you have disrupted the telco industry, what you're doing at Zapme, and what problems you're sort of solving. And can I just say, for the record, telco is a foundational infrastructure layer of the digital economy. The way that our telcos innovate themselves, it, in my view, hasn't evolved as fast as it could have. And it's perhaps over-regulated, or there's not a lot of room to move. And you are global now, and so you've obviously seen in different jurisdictions ways to build out something that is world first. So let's go back to the question.
Okay.
What are you building?
Well, it's interesting. There was a few things in what you just said then, and one of the ones that captured me was the actual telco word that I think people think a phone number's a phone number's a phone number. I think we just had that conversation earlier about that. We get this number and it's just I call you, you call me, we get some SMSs, and that's all it really is. But it's really not. It's fundamentally your identity, you know, and that's what was interesting. And the reason Zapme came about was simply that when I left Australia, my family and I, we went overseas to Europe. And we went and lived in Switzerland, and we were travelling back and forth for business. I was consulting for different organisations. And I decided we were going for a year, and if we had paid the international fee daily on 4 numbers, it was going to cost me $12,000 for the year. So we said, we don't need our numbers. We'll just get new ones when we're over there. And then as soon as we arrived, we were like, the nightmare started to happen. We'd be in Switzerland or Sweden or Denmark or England, and every time I wanted to do something, it was connected back to a bank account or a social.
And the data.
That data. So I couldn't get any OTPs.
No.
So it was just really inconvenient. And so I did what everyone does. I started to buy SIM cards and numbers in each country, and then I used to tape them to my passport. And then I would go to the next country and swap them in and swap them out and doing that for a while. And then COVID happened, and they were all dead overnight. So it meant none of the numbers worked, and only the one number from Switzerland did. So then I had to, every time I wanted to do something, I had to go back and email, say, a social media platform or a bank and say, hey, this is my new number. So it become a nightmare, really. And that's what the genesis of sort of Zapme started. I went, well, why is it that my Australian number at the time just can't work anywhere, and why am I paying these large fees? Why am I paying these international fees? And why is there no global telco? And that was a big one. I remember the day just sitting down there, Lake Lucerne, Switzerland, and looking out the lake, and I thought, why is there no global telco out there where I can have a number, an Australian number, a Switzerland number, an English number, whatever number I like, and just be anywhere in the world and have the freedom to make a phone call and receive a phone call?
See, that is essentially the epitome of a global digital economy, the interaction anywhere in the world, the ability to connect with anyone and retain your identity. Because a lot of the time your identity is when you log in. Do you want to log in with your phone number? Do you want to log in with your social media? These I think we take it for granted.
It's actually the largest. Do you know, it's the largest identifier in the world over passports, driver's license, email. It is the one core thing that is wanted for your identity globally. And we forget that. It's such a protected. I mean, we put our passport in the safe and our driver's license in the wallet, but our number is really the thing that if you have fraud, they want your number.
Yeah.
If you OTP, I'm flying here today. I've had 5 OTPs and 3 messages all around my number, and people just take it for granted that it's their sovereign right to have one, but it's really your identity.
It 100% is. So let's talk about Zapme then. I really want to understand. People are still, and I do, if I go overseas, sometimes I just buy a phone because it comes with a SIM card. It's easier to do, and this is the international phone. Yeah. So can you take us through when you go overseas, how do you still retain your ID? How does Zapme work?
Okay, so Zapme is a communications platform by core, and the reason we started with communications, we'll get into all the other good stuff afterwards, but the one thing we do every day is phone, video, text, message, call every single day. So we said that's going to be the core function of Zapme. So how it works is our tech stack basically allows you to have multiple numbers which work anywhere in the world on one application. So if I want an Australian, an American, an English number, because I'm a traveller, I'll get into the non-travellers shortly as well, because it's really important to understand this isn't just about global communication. This is actually about the Australian communication as well. So it allows you to have multiple numbers in one application, and those numbers you can call out and call in, but it's not a WhatsApp of the world. We both don't have to have it. It actually is a telecommunications application, allowing you to have your own personal number, and you can name them, identify them, and use them that way. People go, well, why do I need that? Well, because one, you may not want to activate your $10 a day or $5 a day international roaming on your phone when you travel, which a lot of people do. So over 90% of people that go traveling, I don't know, Bali, or as you just said, you just could buy a SIM card when you're there. So most people don't actually activate their phone when they travel. What happens then is they can't get their OTPs, they can't get their fraud text. Suddenly they get their credit card gets gypped, and then the bank says, I'm going to send you an OTP. Sorry, I'm overseas. I haven't activated my international roaming. And so Zapme solves that. So you can get that anywhere in the world, 200 countries. You don't have to pick and choose which one either. So it's a true global telecommunications application.
And so locally though, if you're not a traveller.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and when I got a Zapme number, it's work. Like separating yourself from work.
Yeah.
And I know also I've got a number of friends who they have like 7 jobs, and actually the younger generation, they are hustlers. They've got their pizza delivery job. They do some Canva work on Fiverr, and it's a gig economy, right? Because it's hard to make ends meet at the moment. So you've got to have a few different jobs to pay the rent, but it's separating yourself and your personal life from work and the way that people interact with you. Through work. And so you can have 2 separate numbers, one for work but both on the same phone.
Correct. You can have multiple, and it even goes into the young economy of the Instagrams and the Telegrams and all that as well. You could have multiple numbers and multiple accounts because they're selling and they're marketing themselves as well on all those platforms. So you can have multiple numbers connected to those, and they're doing that because they want to A/B test in their marketing as well. So it allows them to do that. But the second part about it is personal. A lot of people have craft businesses or, they're teachers that don't want to give their number out to parents. They don't want to be called all the time. Yeah. Coaches that actually don't want to give their number out to parents because they get called all the time about little Johnny and soccer or whatever. Dating apps, really, really big one. 300 million people on dating apps, and they're all giving their primary number out. You go on the first date and here's my number. So we're saying don't do that. Get a second number. So we're not. So does that mean
it's your dating number?
Oh, I don't have one. I'm married.
Yeah.
But yes, you could have one.
Yeah.
We're not here to take over the telcos, so to speak. We're actually here to work in unison with them and say, look, we know you have your number. And a lot of people how long have you had your number for? Many, many years?
Yeah, I don't ever want to give it up. It's such a good number. Correct.
And a lot of people do. So we're saying don't give it up. Yeah. Just get a second number for Decca or for whatever else you're doing, and you don't have to go and hold 2 phones to do it, or 3 phones to do it. So we're here as the alternative, number 1, and we're also here as the global telco, number 2, meaning get on the plane, go to Bali, go to England, go to America, and guess what? You don't have to turn it on. You don't have to turn it off. They all work. simultaneously. So you're not telling anyone, oh, I'm going home. It doesn't matter where you are. If they call you locally in Australia on that number, you could be in Africa.
Okay, well, these things don't happen overnight. And a lot of the conversations that we have on this podcast are about the ability to build some of these businesses in the current regulatory environment. So can you tell me, because I'm not fully across the regulatory environment for telcos.
Yes.
But my understanding is that, of course, there's regulations, but to be an innovator within a box of sorts might be difficult, or it might have been easy. Can you tell me how have you navigated the telco regulatory environment?
We navigate it country by country, actually. Okay. So because we're doing the global rollout, and we actually so we've got, just so everyone knows, we've got phone numbers and data and Zapme Social, and we're soon to launch B2B, which is a telco on your laptop. So we'll start with numbers. So what we do is we go to each regulatory body in each country. So in Australia, it's ACMA, Singapore, it's AGRA, and every country has their own acronym for what they've got. We then look at all their rules and regulations, and then in our app, we actually build those rules and regulations based on what they want. I know. So it's
embedded compliance.
Everything, correct, yeah. So we actually look at it in detail, and they're fairly detailed. So they'll say what you can do, what you can't do, what you're allowed to store, privacy rules. So our whole tech stack of the app is built country by country, which is quite amazing. And for such a small team, it's a big feat. But, you know, we have thousands of pricing models, and then we have all the regulatory behind that. So, for example, if you log into Australia, you may have to provide a certain documentation to get a number. In America, you might not. Sweden, you might. England, you might not. So different ones have different regulations. But as a small, innovative global telco, we do country by country.
You probably have to. I know the identity required when you're signing up to the Australian Zapme.
Yes.
It's the same as signing up for any SIM card, basically. They need driver's license.
Yeah, for Australia, correct.
Yeah, that's right. So it's the same process.
Yeah.
It's just digital.
We do have but what's exciting for us with Zapme is that we've got a bit of a convergence happening. So one thing, you can use Zapme with your email, or I'll talk about the blockchain or wallet addresses shortly, but you can log in as a single sign-on under an email or a blockchain wallet. We haven't talked numbers yet. So there's no regulatory in that side. Then when you go into the social side, then there's regulatory in that world. Then you go into the telco side, and there's regulatory in that world. Then you go into the data side, and there's regulatory in that world. Yeah. So we operate all that in the back end to make it seamless. So when you're actually in there, you're bouncing between numbers and social and data, and soon to be a whole range of other things, payment systems that we're bringing in. We're slowly building out the super app. But each one has its own world. But by entry into it, you do not need anything to initially start. So you can gloss around and have a little look around. And you'll never see all the complicated stuff, of course.
No, I didn't. And the only, I mean, you can still Zapme, and the only thing that I needed was when I wanted to own my new number. But there's also the social app. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
The blockchain and digital asset component.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen blockchain and digital asset seamlessly integrate into an Australian telco or into a telco.
Yeah. We're actually moving our whole application to a decentralised system. So that's basically going to be decentralised telco, decentralised data, and decentralised social. So what's happening is, to give the architecture behind it, I guess, is currently sit on a server system. When we move to the decentralised system, that will then run a combination of going through your network. So it's hard. I'm going to talk three different ways. So one is telco. You've got your networks around the world. You've got your towers around the world. To make a phone call, you have to use those towers or satellites because that's the infrastructure that's built for Argentina, for example. So that will then run to a certain point until it hits our tech stack. Then it'll get moved to a decentralized world where the fragments move between the decentralized and the real world, so the Web 2 and the Web 3 world. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, it does, but I don't. It is tricky.
Yeah.
Because you're the first.
Yeah.
So when you're the first, I know that you need to get certain ticks when you go to operate in Australia, and you need to make sure that you're compliant.
Yes.
When you build out something like you have built out, how does the infrastructure that they're used to seeing, which is your default hardwired copper systems that are physical infrastructure, and you're presenting them with digital, decentralized infrastructure.
Yep.
What's the response?
Yeah, well, we'll find out shortly what the response is. But the way we've worked it is that we're moving. We want to. There's two parts here as well. You've got the decentralized system that makes it work, but you're still using numbers that are still controlled by governments, for example, because the numbers, I just don't go and pluck a bunch of numbers out of the, you've got to get these numbers. Governments issue these numbers. They've got to sit somewhere and then they've got to be used. Where they sit doesn't really matter, whether it's with an AWS or Azure or whoever it ends up being. We're just going to situate them on a decentralized system.
Okay.
Yeah. So that sort of separates
Right.
it. So it's not that we're changing the regulation. We still do the passports or the driver's license or all the regulation that they have and the KYC or maybe the privacy laws, depending on who it is. But it sits on our decentralized service system.
Yeah.
That's the idea behind it. So we're doing it something slightly different in that way.
Yeah. So AWS, Azure, they are trusted.
Yes.
And so when some of our regulators have a look at those, they know, okay, that particular infrastructure we know all about. We've seen that before.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But my question is about when they're presented with something they've not yet seen, you're probably in the progress of seeing what the outcome of that conversation is.
Yes. What's interesting is that you say that they're trusted, but look what happened to half the world when it went down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon is just this tiny little block and everything collapsed behind it. We know our local telcos have also had data breaches.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll talk about data breaches in a minute.
Yeah.
But with I mean, at the end of the day, things can happen, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do bring it up to, like, for example, Samsung. Half the world use Samsung. And I ask everyone, I say, so do you know what operates Samsung? And they go, well, Samsung. I'm like, no, it's Knox, K-N-O-X.
Yeah.
But people don't know that.
And they don't know it's blockchain either.
No, and do they know it's trusted? No one's even heard of it.
No.
So it's not about that. It's about brand trust, I think. So we're trying to go down the brand trust. And it's not all about speed. It's about trust and about resilience and about making sure it's up all the time and people can use it.
Yeah.
We've got this fine line of people go, yeah, we trust Amazon. But I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
Use Amazon.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to move to something completely different and try, sell Zapme.
You are disrupting the whole system, really, across the way that telcos have always operated. And I think you have to. If you're going to go completely digital, you have no choice because you're not relying on the copper wiring and
No, and that infrastructure's laid. It's like people. Let's face it. At the end of the day, nearly every website you see, business built on some of your big ones actually don't own the core infrastructure like Azure, Amazon, etc. They're all built on top. So some of the biggest billion-dollar businesses in the world don't even own fundamentally their framework or their foundation. They're built off somebody else's. So it's no different than us. We're just different because we're global. So we're using not only global numbers around the world, global data in 200 countries around the world, and then decentralized social media, which is the super cool part. Because once you actually log into Zapme with a single sign-on, whether you use your email, Web2 world, or you use your blockchain address on MetaMask, Trust, and the other 500 different wallet systems there are, you will then have your own name, your own wallet system, which controls all your social media. And with that social media, then it's fragmented around the world through the decentralization. So once you log out, it doesn't sit on a central server, which I think is super exciting.
Yeah, and so I think the way that we all interact, obviously through phones and through different applications. Yeah. But we've also got social media. And I know it seems like you're like, next step is the community, is the way that we interact across social. Yeah. So I'm using Zapme. So I've created my profile on Zapme and Decker is building out our brand on Zapme. A lot of people have issues with the current social media platforms.
Yes.
And so which is why you're probably looking at disrupting it, which is fair enough. Someone has to do it.
Yes.
But how are you?
To be frank, we're only new at it, right? So we've only just launched it a couple of months ago. So we're just growing as we go. So there will always be glitches and always be little conversations that we have with people, but we make it better and better every 24 hours. Every 24 hours you log into Zapme, it just gets better and better, right? Well, that's on. It is why we're doing it. What we've thought is to bring all these different elements of what everyone does every day. They do stories or reels. They're on Discord with their sub-channels. They're on TikTok doing their, growing their businesses, or they just want a place to put everything where it's a central source of truth. So that's how we've architectured Zapme Social, is that when you log in, you can see stories from people that just want to post stories, reels from people that just want to post reels. But then we have Zap Zones, which is what Decker's looking at doing.
Yeah.
And Zap Zones are where you can create your own community and house all your information. Yeah. Because what's happening with all these organizations and personal profiles and influencers is they say this stuff on all these socials, but then 2 weeks later I go, oh, where did I see that? Did I see it on Instagram or did I see it on there? So what we've done with Zapme Social is centralize that, and now it means anything you do out in all your social media world, you could put links to it within a Zap Zone, which is you or your community, and then people can go back to that area to find out what you were talking about. Maybe you're talking about...
Like an aggregator?
Yeah, like you're talking about regulation in telco. You can have a sub-channel, regulation in telco.
Yeah.
Maybe you're talking about space, and you can have a section on space. But then maybe you go over to Instagram and you're posting something cool and funky. That link can then sit in your Zap Zone so people know where to go and get it. So it's like your central source of truth is what we're trying to build.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to take over everyone's social media platforms, but we are trying to bring it into one, because I always hear people going, oh, did you send it to me on Slack, or was it Instagram, or was it, and we get confused on where people are sending us all this information because there's so much. Whereas what we're trying to get people to do is say, well, it's on my Zap Zone. Now, it could be an influencer Zap Zone, or it could be a community Zap Zone, but it's there. And so that's where you go to find that information.
On particular topics.
On particular topics
Yeah. And people can also comment and interact as well.
Absolutely.
On those. Yeah.
And they can comment, interact on everything unless you decide not to. So you could sort of mute conversations, or say you just want to post, the new rules and regulations of a certain thing, then you don't want to hear anything from anyone. You just leave it as that. But if you do want to hear back, or you want to do feedback, or frequently asked questions, or what is, you can open those up, and then people can comment. They can use AI within it as well. They can generate images. They can generate conversation. So it's really a community-based thing. And what's exciting about Zapme Social in that way is that they're going to keep coming back to it. Because, okay, maybe you talk about a policy and they go, okay, I'm done with the policy. Yeah. And now they see other stories and reels happening. So they're engaging with other communities, other people, other influencers all the time. Then when you post again, bang, there you are again. They don't have to go back to your website and go, wonder what they're doing these days.
And so as we evolve as humans, because some people are no longer wanting to leave a digital footprint.
Yes.
And so they're no longer commenting.
Yes.
They're not liking, because they're creating a public picture of the sort of person that they are.
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts on the way that humans are sort of interacting with socials now?
I think the buzzword right now is this freedom of speech, right? Like everyone's about this freedom of speech, and then they go, but I don't want to say it because they know who I am. But maybe if I could not be who I am, and then they come up with these funky names, anonymous or whatever it ends up being. I mean, debating's been going on for centuries, and really that is freedom of speech. I mean, centuries. I say something, you say something, it goes back and forth. I believe in it. I think it's really important. So to stop it happening within a social media platform is sort of mute to me in one way. But then there's this responsibility of how far does it go as well. With Zapme Social, you can actually just have a wallet address, and you don't know if you're Scott or Amy-Rose, for example. You can post and comment from there. But we're also bringing AI into that, an ethical AI sort of aspect to it. So it's not that we're controlling freedom of speech, but we're certainly going to control things that could get out of hand. For example, as you know, a couple of tweets can do things to Capitol Hill on July the 6th. So, so we'll have AI in there that stops certain, because what it can do is actually it can look at all the posts and everything that's happening and look at the positive and negative sentiment as well. So it'll get to a point where it says, hey, wait a second, something's happening here. This should not go out because it could escalate to something. We'll bring in AI for that. Yeah. Still freedom of speech, but there's a crossover. There is a point where it stops. Yeah.
There's those incitement of...
Correct.
Yeah. So that's front of mind at the moment, and also for government after a number of after the events. Yeah.
So we are focused on that. We're not sitting there going, hey, it's a decentralised world and you can say what you like and do what you like. That's certainly not what Zapme Social is about. It's certainly about freedom of speech, but we will have certain aspects to control those sort of things getting out of control. We're very focused on that sort of side of it. But just because a government doesn't like something or a person doesn't like something, that's no reason to say, or a company, a social company that doesn't like something, that's no reason to shut them out, because a lot of social companies are shutting people out just because they're saying certain things. But you should be allowed to say certain things. It just is a point where it crosses over. And I think AI can do a lot of that control.
Yeah, I think AI is going to become an intermediary across a lot of platforms, actually, not just socials, but also even just the way that we interact with platforms.
Yeah, it is.
As well. So I imagine that AI is just going to become ubiquitous.
It is.
I had a phone call from an AI recently. They said, I'm an AI agent. I'm calling from blah, 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 real estate. If you would like a conversation, then, but it was just like, it's feeling out whether or not I wanted to have a conversation with this real estate agent before, so they didn't waste his time calling me.
Yeah. What's cool about Zapme is that we'll actually have an AI in there to stop that as well, an AI in there to stop that as well. So it'll filter out certain things and scam calls. So if you get a call and it goes under a certain regimen of a scam phone call, it'll just shut it down. So we're stopping that for people as well.
Is that something that's in place for traditional?
I'm sure they must have it. And if they don't, I don't know who's doing it at the moment, but we certainly want to bring it in.
Yeah, because I know that part of the scam life cycle is obviously text messages and click this and do this and one thing leads to another.
We're very regulated on that, by the way.
Yeah.
So we, on our phone number side of things, that whole SMS, it's called 10DLC in America, and it's a combination. We're very regulated on that. So we have to run campaigns based around it. So they know exactly our numbers, what's happening around, who gets what. And as soon as we see any sort of spam text message go out, they get shut down. So
the phone number itself gets shut down?
Yep. We control that completely.
Oh, my goodness. So that's a requirement of a telco in Australia.
Australia and America and different countries. In America, it's called 10DLC. In Australia, it's called something else. So we do that as well.
There are certain groups within other countries who contact Australians from their own local telco.
Yes.
And their local telco doesn't report like we do.
Yeah.
However, some local telcos do report back to Australian telcos and let them know that they flag things.
We do that. Yes, correct. Yeah. So if it's a message that was originated by our number that went through AT&T or whoever it may be, and it came to an Australian, then yes, that we collaborate on that, based if it's a scam or not. So so there's an element of that we're decentralized in the social world, and we're certainly freedom of speech in that. But on the other side with numbers, it is your identifier, and it's a powerful identifier. It is everything. It's everything to you. I mean, someone could SIM swap you. They could port your number. They can do all sorts, and then they control your banking and your social and the whole lot. So I don't think people really understand how powerful their number is and how dangerous their number is at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried. I lost my WhatsApp, was hacked, compromised, lost, and it took a long time to get it back. Yeah. But I did. But I lost everything, all my messages and stuff for the whole history of ever having WhatsApp, which was devastating. But it's absolutely possible, and I think that we do take for granted that everything that we, our numbers and our communication platforms will exist until the end of time. But in fact, all of them can be taken.
Yeah. And as soon as you don't have it, which we didn't when we traveled overseas, we realized the pain that you're in, because a lot of companies and banks and that don't send an OTP to emails. They just don't. I went to pay an account in Singapore last week with my credit card, and sorry, you're not a Singaporean resident. And I'm like, what does that mean? And said, no, you can't. If you give us your phone number, we can do it that way. I went, so then I had to give them my phone number to send me an OTP to then give them the card. I thought, so my phone number again was the identifier.
Yeah.
And say, yes, you're a real person. So they didn't do it via email. They didn't do it via Google Authenticator. It's a phone number. So a lot of people feel like phone numbers are going to disappear, and they're just not.
Yeah.
They're just not.
I
think they're getting more and more, actually.
Yeah, I don't think I ever envisaged them disappearing, but some people just because the world is changing so quickly.
Yeah. When I say that, I'll sort of preface it. They say, look, we don't need a phone number. until they do. So if you look at people's phone calls now, there's probably 4, 5, maybe 10 phone calls a day, if that. Whereas on social messaging, message. So they go, I don't really need a phone number. But they really do, because they've still got bank accounts and they've still got all their things.
Yeah.
They just don't use it as much. But it's for your core functionality now.
Yeah.
Whereas years ago, your phone would be listed, you'd be calling people all day long.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's shorter, but it's your core, it's your banking, it's your OTP, it's your fraud, it's your communication. Whereas it's not just, hey, how are you, Amy-Rose? That's social.
That's why it's infrastructure.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wrap up. I want to know what your plans are. Like it sounds like you've innovated the hell out of telco and social platforms.
Yes.
What's next?
So we've got 4 core pillars at the beginning, and then we'll move on to our 5th. Our first one is the phone numbers, which we've talked about, and we'll just keep on rolling out globally. So we've got a certain amount of countries, which is large, and we'll keep rolling that out further and further with no international fees, no international roaming, and no international costs. Second one is data plans, 200 countries. That's solid and done. Zapme Social. So this is where things are going to get really interesting. Right now, we operate Zap zones, so you can have your own community and you can have your own area for yourself. We're bringing out Zap Live, which will be live AMAs, live podcasting. You can basically control your own community on a digital format. And then we'll be bringing out predictions model and a whole bunch of other gamification stuff for communication between two parties. It's all about communication, Zapme. And then the 4th pillar is B2B. And that allows you to have a telco on your laptop, meaning that you can log in and issue phone numbers and data to anyone you know, or your employees. So if you have people traveling to America, or you want to give them an extra number in Australia, or you've got 15 members in Decca that you want a number, you can sit there and literally issue yourself.
Is that like a telco reseller?
Yeah, so it basically is, but it's reselling our numbers and our data and our chat system and our social. So it's all in one dashboard, so you control it completely. So you've got this whole Zapme on a phone, and now it's on a laptop, but you get full control over it. Whereas you can't log in and do that with any other telecommunications company in the world currently.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So why can't you?
Yeah. They don't offer it. We do. So that'll be rolled out. It's actually finished. We'll be rolling it out very soon. So you can go in there and control that, which is good. And then we'll move into what the back end of that, all these other cool stuff that will happen. Because we've done the decentralization and because we've provided this single sign-on, allowing you to have a wallet system in the background, we'll obviously move into payments very soon.
Obviously move into payments.
We have to move into payments. It's about borderless communication and borderless payments. At the end of the day, they're both basically both the same. It's a parcel of information, or it's a parcel of value, and they go hand in hand together as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to use those wallet addresses and that back end. People in the Web 2 world won't even know, by the way. They'll just go, I want to move money around. But it's operating off the blockchain. So it's super exciting to do that.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the teams can't wait to get their hands on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems inevitable and a natural progression. But it's a handful. It's a lot of work.
It is.
So,
It is a lot of work, and it's interesting that you go into these Series A's, which we're in now. You're growing the brand, you're growing the community, you're trying to not break stuff, but you're trying to make it all work at the same time. And it's like governments when they're doing their regulation. It's like we have to follow those regulations. We think we're following them right. We hope we are. I mean, we do our best to, but it'd be great if government have some sort of better system that allows us to be able to API, for want of a better word, into it and go, yes, we're up to date. That would be amazing. It would be amazing.
Into compliance.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Because at the end of the day, Australia, what is it? I don't know, 2 million people in government, 10% of our population, 14 federal departments, over 300 private departments, thousands of over 300 state departments within it,
goodness.
and then thousands of documents within those departments. They can't communicate that together. It's I feel sorry for them, actually. Yeah. It's impossible to do that. So, that shadow AI sort of concept behind it, if they could somehow pull that together and we could API into that to then grab the real up-to-date stuff, which could be up to date by the minute, really. Once soon as it was lodged, it could drag in. But until then, we have to use the external entrepreneurial companies like Claude and all the other ones that are out there. Until the day comes where they build it in for us. But right now, all you can do is read it. You can't actually API into it. And I think they could do it. But it would take an AI to do it because there's no way all those departments and all those people could actually talk together and get that right. But I think it could feed through to a digital economy based around your identity again, based around your number. Is my thoughts.
Oh my goodness, you've got your hands full. Thank you for coming on
lovely.
the show.
Thank you very much.
So good to see
great.
you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks again.
Yeah.
You've been listening to The House is Digital, where policy meets innovation. Stay curious, stay inspired, and be part of the movement building Australia's next economy. The future is happening now. See you in the next episode.